Hey everyone, my name is Bryon Howard. I'm a Calgary realtor who has sold an average of a house a week since moving to this great city in 2003. And this is Calgary Living. I'm interviewing Calgary's top performers as it relates to living and lifestyle in our great city. Some of the podcasts will be real estate decision specific, but most will be about life in Calgary and why we choose to live here, or at least why you should visit. Thanks for tuning in.
Well, folks, this one, it was a long time coming. Today, I am, sharing with you a chat that I had with Braden Ross, Mr. Airbnb. This was done fairly early in COVID in April of 2020. It was a fun chat with Braden and his history of living in and exploring the world around us, but living in Calgary and making his home Calgary. This interview was originally done on Zoom and shared on a channel that I've been promoting on YouTube with a group. But I thought that we have a lot of listeners here on the podcast who would enjoy it here. So I wanted to bring it into you and share it with you today. So without further ado, here's Braden Ross, Mr. Airbnb, a flourishing Airbnb short-term rental business. He's promoting and been successful in having students following his path all over the world. And here we go. Well, folks, thanks so much for tuning in for another episode of Calgary Living, a Real Estate Lifestyle. I am honored, pleased to have Braden Ross on a Zoom call. Welcome to the show, Braden.
Thank you very much. I'm super excited to be here with you.
Braden, we did, I think, not quite a year ago when my son, Jacob, told me about this cool guy, Mr. Airbnb, that he was following on Instagram. And you've been just chilling it in the social media and having good fun with Airbnb, and you call yourself Mr. Airbnb. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Give us a snapshot of what you're doing, your current situation, what's happening in your life right now. I know you're here in Calgary, sitting on your deck, and times have changed recently in your life or many of your customers' lives running Airbnb.
100%. Yeah, last year when you and I had actually met through Jacob, I was in Miami operating some of our houses down there. And the model that we were actually using at the time was rental arbitrage, where we had master lease a property, meaning we rent a property from a homeowner who's willing to actually allow us to put the property on Airbnb. And our goal is to make a profit on that. So we're paying 10 grand a month to rent on a nice, beautiful home, Coconut Grove. Our goal is to make at least 15 or 20. That way there's enough room and make it worthwhile after. So currently I'm sitting on my backyard here in Calgary. I'm born and raised here. A lot of my family is too. I'm half Swedish, so I got family over in Sweden, yet I've never been there. And I love this Airbnb lifestyle because 4 years ago, I bought my first property, just a single 1 bedroom, 1 bath, just enough for me. And I was doing another company I called Ross Box TV at the time. I programmed little Android TV boxes so people could watch TV and channels and fun stuff like that, but they'd have to kind of figure some of it out themselves, but I'd get them started. And then that evolved into me buying the property, and I listed on Airbnb, and I wanted to travel. So I went to Mexico and Las Vegas, and in those first 2 weeks, it was Stampede for 10 days. So I was able to rent out the place for $400 a night, and I absolutely loved it. I'm like, there's something here. I mean, why isn't everybody doing it? At the time, there was only a couple hundred B&Bs in Calgary. Now we're over 5,000 roughly. I think there's about 4,000 or 5,000. And people are adapting to it, because you don't have to own any property. And I learned that quickly. So one day I'm just sitting in my house. I'm going, I spent all my money on this property. It's not fully paid off yet, but I think Airbnb could pay it off for me in 5 to 7 years. So what if I went up to homeowners? So I went on Rent Faster and I met with them for coffee, and I pitched them this idea where I'd use their property, pay them a 10% premium, and put it on Airbnb. And so thus the Airbnb rental arbitrage idea was born. I didn't start teaching it until 2 years later. And now I don't even know the exact number because I work with Ty Lopez as well. So through Ty's following, there's tens of millions of followers, and tens of thousands of students there. But just alone through my coaching, I've taught a couple thousand people, which has been fantastic. But I've really taken a step back and started to build my own businesses in my Airbnb portfolio. Currently, I work with 2 boutique hotels under the same umbrella. and they combined have 120 rooms because people want to know this stuff. I know the listeners are going to want, how many Airbnbs does he have? So 120 rooms between those two. They actually had to shut down because of COVID. As we're filming this, we're going through probably the toughest time for short-term rentals, which actually excites me because we're going to help those failing businesses market and get their occupancy and revenue back up after all this. So 120 there. Just the one here in Calgary. I had a couple before. I got rid of the ones that I was renting. My entire portfolio is marketing and managing these properties. I partner with the companies and I increase their occupancy by putting them on platforms that they're not currently using. So if it's a boutique hotel, I'll put them on Airbnb or Flipkey or TripAdvisor or Mr. B&B, whatever they're not using. They're probably using Booking.com, Trivago, and those kind of websites, Expedia. However, we usually take about 15 to 30% right at the top. For the listeners listening, thank you for listening. This is what you would use. You'd use Guestie. Guestie is a platform you can actually automate your entire Airbnb business through. You can do a little research, and they have a nice little auto communication service built within Guestie. They take 5%. So we get a client at 15%. Let's say we bring in $10,000 in bookings. We take 15% on. So that'd be 1,500, 500, 5% of that goes to Guestie. We're owning no property, buying no property, no lease option, seller finance, no mortgages, or even rental arbitrage. So I don't have any liability because you don't want to be renting property right now and have to be able to cover that rent, especially when nobody's able to travel. So currently we just signed on another 282 properties between St. Bart's Island in the Caribbean, as well as Punta Cana, Italy, as well as St. Martin. And so that's where we're at right now. And we're excited. We just brought on some sales consultants too and partners, and we want to beat Sonder. Sonder's at 9,000, their first $1 million short-term rental company, and they're at 9,000 properties. I think we can get at least 2,000 to 3,000 by the end of summer here. And we have zero investors, by the way. And anybody can do this model. Anybody can help failing businesses or businesses that just want more occupancy, because you're not taking these places exclusively. You're saying, let me connect my calendar, which is what Guestie is for, and let me promote you on platforms that you're not on. So you list these properties on VRBO or HomeAway or Expedia if they're not using Expedia and so on. And you connect these calendars through what's called an API and so anytime you get a booking through there, you make money.
So that's interesting. So I, in fact, did sign up for your course maybe 10 months ago, but I'm probably just like 80% of the people who sign up. I didn't really do much. So I have a few different Airbnbs, and thanks to you, I maybe have a couple more just from a little bit of work, but I am only on Airbnb, nothing else. I had full intentions on being on other platforms. Is that a mistake, Brandon?
Is that a mistake? It's not a mistake. Most of your traffic will come through Airbnb, but I would recommend getting yourself on a simple platform. It doesn't have to be Guestie, called IGMS or Tokeet, Tokeet. And this will help you automate all your check-in, check-out instructions are automatically sent. Your reviews are written for you by stuff that you already have templated in through short codes. So they'll put the guest's first name so it feels personalized. You get those great reviews. Ideally, if you have apartments, you want to be on Flipkey, which is owned by TripAdvisor. You want to be on Airbnb, which will be your main one. And actually, if you're in like a gay community like Miami, you want to be on Mr. B&B. And no, I did not create Mr. B&B. I know the name's similar, Mr. Airbnb, but Mr. B&B is actually specifically for that. So there's a lot of these happy mediums. But if you're looking for a place to just get information on all these platforms, you can go to a software called Rentals United, and they have all the tops. It's 60 of them that are top ones around the world. Everything from even campgrounds to have a specific site.
Interesting. Cool. So, Braden, you are born and raised Calgarian. Let's go back to about Calgary lifestyle, real estate. What strikes you about living in Calgary?
I think it was a couple of years ago, we got voted the cleanest city in the world. So that speaks volumes for Calgary. I mean, our backyard is the mountains. We can go to Banff, we can go to Moraine Lake, Lake Louise, and Canmore, and it's beautiful. In the summer, it's my favorite place to go. I'm not traveling to another side of the world. I'm staying within Canada. Canada's a beautiful country. One thing I wish it had more of is doing exactly what I'm doing right now, is sitting outside and having sun all year round. So people ask me a lot of the time, why don't you go live in LA or Miami? I'm an ambivert person. So I am extroverted, but I'm also introverted. So I want to be to myself sometimes and work to be totally laser focused. And then I like to have fun after I've worked hard enough. And Calgary is where my family is. I have family near Red Deer, got family in Vancouver. I got family outside of Calgary, very close. So I stay home, and I think next year for the winter, I'm going to be out of Calgary for the first time.
Very good. Oh, interesting. You've spent lots of times in Miami and other places, but you spend most winters in Calgary?
I've spent every winter in Calgary, but I usually travel I played hockey my whole life. That's what I thought I was going to do for a living. Is I played 15 years of hockey, played AAA. I got 5 concussions. I wasn't the biggest guy on the ice, so I get my head knocked off sometimes. And then that stopped, and I went to university and did that for 4 years and left and started entrepreneurship at 21, true full time. And for the winter times, I'd really like to spend more time probably in Miami. I know it's a hustle and bustle type economy, but when you get to cities like that, you have a lot of people that see what a lot of people, I would say, in Calgary don't. There's a lot of blue collar in Calgary, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs that really try to be number one. And if you're always around those guys trying to be number one, you have to compete. In Calgary, I don't feel like there's that level of competition as much that's openly out there. Although I love how friendly the people are here compared to nothing wrong with the people in Miami, but people I find in the US are a little more stern at times. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just obviously we're all raised differently.
Braden, what's easy for you these days and what's hard?
What's easy for me? That's a good question. What's easy for me? I would say talking to my camera every day. You know, when I started doing the social media stories, I was called Braden Ross Fitness 4 years ago, and I was really into fitness. I had 1,200 followers. I have another account, Braden Ross. That's that actual account. And then I built the Mr. Airbnb account, which actually started as a luxury travel page, believe it or not. So I would get followers. And think about the way to grow on Instagram. You want to offer value for free, and you need to do that over time. So you're not going to make money overnight on Instagram. You have to create a product. People have to trust you. They have to see your lifestyle. People are watching their phones more than they're watching TV. The TV is the new radio and the phone's the new TV at this point. So when people are watching TV, they really are just staring at their phone and listening to the radio, which is the TV in the background at this point, I believe, because I do it myself. And people want to see in 3 to 5 seconds what's going on in Braden's day or Bryan's day, like just like understanding what's happening in their lives. But we don't have a lot of attention span. I don't want to see drama, but I want to see something that can help me. And it's not always about showing off. I think a lot of people use Instagram as a talent show, and I think they're using it in the wrong ways because Lamborghinis aren't as cool as they were in 2016 when nobody was doing that. And Ty Lopez did his Here in My Garage video. But, you know, I went and bought myself a Lamborghini for my 25th birthday. I didn't do it for the social media clout, they call it. I didn't do it to brag or boast. I did it because it was always a goal of mine. I work from home all the time. So my escape is to go drive the car when I can, even in the winter, and zip around. And that's my true happiness. And I find that that's what I do. And so when I talk to my camera every single day, a lot of people are shy about it. They don't want to get on camera. They don't want to say, and it builds your confidence because when you get that interaction from the audience online, you feel enticed. It triggers parts of your brain that, you know, you don't want to become addicted to it, but it helps you feel like what you're saying matters. Mm-hmm. And I think that matters for everybody. Everybody's voice wants to be heard. So for people struggling that maybe you're listening to this, I don't know how to do social media. Just know that organic growth has never been harder on Instagram. You should get yourself on TikTok, get yourself a podcast, get yourself on YouTube. These are international reaches that help you move a lot quicker. A lot of people are using giveaways now on Instagram to grow their account overnight, basically tens of thousands of followers, no real followers, but they're in it to win a prize. So it's not an overnight game. Social media is a long-term game. What I find difficult in my life right now is trying to build teams. I have a problem building teams because I was such a person that I organized everything myself. And a lot of business owners are like that. They want to do everything themselves. Delegation becomes very difficult for them. And finding people they can trust. You know, every single person in life goes through mistakes. They'll choose the wrong people to hang out with. You might have partnered with somebody. You know, it happens to all of us. You can't grow without doing it. Nobody has a perfect life. So I'm going through that phase right now. And it's fun. It's also stressful. I'm not going to lie. Running a business is very stressful. You don't know where your next paycheck's coming from. And that's why you've got to have a proper marketing strategy and execution to brand yourselves. I'm not Braden Ross. I'm Mr. Airbnb. And people know me all around the world for Mr. Airbnb because it's more memorable than Braden Ross.
Right.
And I didn't actually create the name, believe it or not. There was a friend of mine in Calgary. We were standing in a group at a mastermind last year in Vegas. And he goes, "Hey, you're like Mr. Monopoly, but for Airbnbs. You're Mr. Airbnb." And I said, "Hold on, put your phones down. I'm going to see if this name's available." It was available. I'm like, I think I got something here. Because for the SEO, when people search on Instagram, if your name's Mr. Facebook, I'm going to show up right under Facebook. So it helps me get followers that way too. So your brand name is everything too. So that's my difficulty is delegation and team building. And my ease is talking to people and getting them to relate to me through social media.
well said. Your ease and it's just showing up. And most people will say they want to show up, but I see that and I feel the integrity as you say that you do show up, and it's neat for you to articulate that. And Braden, when someone says, "Show me the data," will you love it or not? Are you a data guy?
Like, show me your Airbnb results?
Well, no, that or the analytics. Are you an analytical fellow? Are you expressive in nature? How do you do you enjoy the data?
Question. I have my guitar actually right next to me. So I have a creative side of my mind, meaning I'm not all about just straight numbers. I believe numbers are hard facts and they don't lie. If you look at some of the greatest, entrepreneurs in the world, Elon Musk, everything he does has to be calculated down to the decimal, like the zero. So it has to be a good mix, because somebody could show me that they got an 80% and 90% went to Harvard, but that doesn't mean they're creative and they're going to be a good employee. So when we're talking about actual data and creativity, I don't think they align. I think a lot of people are better on paper than they are in person. And I think people underestimate their value, and that value isn't always measured by just straight data. I think it can be tweaked and it can be bent.
Nice. Very good. And so tell me, you say you're half Swedish. I guess the other half Calgary. Do you speak a little Swedish? And how did you happen to come to live in Calgary? I guess it was one parent. Tell me the story.
Actually, it was both parents. One of the grandparents, great grandparents, was Stockholm there. But no, I don't speak Swedish. I actually took late French immersion from grade 7 to 12 as an option. Fully immersed myself to learn another language. I was kind of like that nerd. And then by high school, I realized I didn't like sitting and listening to the teachers all the time, which kind of brought me down to being a C- student, from an A+ to a C- student. So I let partying and all that stuff get ahead of me, but I was always an entrepreneur, flipping an iPhone, training people in the gym, cutting people's lawn, doing their snow removal. I've always done something. I wasn't getting rich off it, but it gave me enough money in my pocket that I always try to stay ahead. I always treated it like a competition, actually, with my friends. So I can't speak Swedish. I would say I can speak French. It's broken French, but I can write quite well, but I understand it perfectly. And that's where I'm at right now with my multilingual abilities.
What do you love most about Calgary, and what don't you like about Calgary? You seem a bit of a guy of the world. What's keeping you here?
Family. My family is keeping me here. It's hard. I'm very family oriented, believe it or not. I don't always show it on my Instagram, but I talk to my parents every single day, multiple times a day, actually. I reach out to my grandparents probably every other day. My brothers, I have 2 brothers. One's in Calgary, one's near Vancouver. And we talk I would say every single week. So for me, it's family. The apple never falls too far from the tree. Even though I'm a world explorer, I love exploring. That's really what keeps me up. I would say that's what really emphasizes me to help promote what I do, because Airbnb is travel. Calgary is always home, always will be home to me. I'll always have a place here. And even if I live abroad, I will always come back. I know.
Tell me about your interest in real estate. What were some of your first real estate decisions?
Buying the property. So buying my 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo. And I was so pumped because I'd always wanted to live. I remember at like 21, I wanted to make sure I owned a little condo downtown. I wanted the underground parking. I wanted to live that lifestyle where I felt like an executive. And it didn't necessarily mean I had to dress up every day, even though that's what I was aiming for. I never ended up getting the corporate job, but Ross Cox took over, and it was hard. It was definitely hard starting out. I wasn't making a bunch of money. But yeah, real estate started there for me. And now, as I get closer to guys like Ty Lopez and Grant Cardone and these big names on social media, people can recognize with, it's becoming a thing where I'm going, I want to get into multifamily. I want to become international. I still believe in Calgary's real estate. It's going to be a long game. I get that. But I think that for me, real estate, you look at most millionaires, their portfolio, they have real estate. It's made more millionaires than any other industry in the world, is what I've been taught. And Airbnb created a bootleg way for anybody to get into the industry of real estate. And that's why I love it.
What do you think the opportunities are just on real estate? So as you know, in Calgary, anyone who bought in 2013 or 14 probably don't have equity in their property today. So is there an opportunity for people to get properties, condos with seller financing in the next year, for example, and maybe turn into Airbnb? Are you seeing opportunities there?
So we're doing seller financing deals in the United States. We find a lot of our properties off Craigslist, but we show people how to actually leverage credit. In the US, they have something called 0% credit cards where you don't pay any interest. So you can liquidate these credit cards through a website called plastic.com. and they take a 2.5% fee, and you can use that to actually put a down payment on a property, put it on Airbnb, and pay it off in 5 to 7 years. So that's where I think the next model for me is. But I think for Calgary, I'm even looking at a more real estate here. There's going to be more people that just need to get rid of their properties, especially with rent to owns. I find there's a lot more of those coming up too. So I would say you have more knowledge on the Calgary market than I do. I would say I'm more in the US than anything, but it's a great time to be cash heavy. It's a great time to have good credit, and a great time to start doing creative thinking and start getting maybe some friends together to invest in real estate. It's just a good time overall. I'm honestly more excited more than ever, just because of the amount of opportunity that comes from something like this. We'll be in a recession at least for another 2 years. So it's time to play.
So how about the boom bust economy of Calgary? How do you cope with it? Do you save for a rainy day? And how does it affect your mindset? And as a guy that, like yourself, entrepreneur, maybe more about your friends, family situation, people that have had a lot of issues with the boom bust economy. What are your thoughts, man? How do you handle the boom bust economy, and how does it affect your mindset?
The boom bust economy, I mean, on that 1 bedroom, 1 bath, I already lost 60 grand on that property. Okay. So
you bought it, I'm guessing 2014-ish. Is that when? Maybe
2016 actually.
2016, and you already lost, you say 50 or 60 grand. You're probably being hard on yourself.
No. I am being a little bit harsh. I mean, I'm just going based off what the city of Calgary valued the property at. Right. But I even got it on a deal too. I mean, realistically, I would say 30, but based on the numbers they gave me, it was 55,000.
Yeah.
So unbelievable.
And so how do you cope with that? Like, you seem positive. You're holding it. You haven't sold it, and you'll keep it for 5-10 more years. Like, what's your plan with that?
Totally. So my goal is to hold it for another 5 years, see where the market's at, take all the Airbnb money I make from it at this point and just re-inject that back into the property, pay down the principal as possible, and then buy more properties, leveraging credit. I'm trying to get American credit right now. I actually just released something that talks about how to get American credit as a Canadian and use other people's money to make money. I don't like to use my money to make a lot of money. If I have to, I will, but I want to know that I can make it back in a certain amount of time. But I like to actually put away 35 to 40% of whatever I make into my savings. And I know you're not supposed to have a lot of savings, as Grant Cardone says, but for something like this, I'm happy I have some savings. Taxes in Canada are extremely high. I mean, pay 48% tax bracket. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So I try to keep my expenses the first couple of years in business. I wasn't writing off anything really. So, my huge tax bill is just draining the account. Like, boom, you made all this money. Now it's going to be gone. So you need to keep your expenses high. And for me, the winter does start to affect me now. Just like anybody, I've gone through a lot of anxiety, I would say, because I don't like being inside a lot, which inadvertently kind of affects you mentally, which causes a little, I wouldn't say depression for me. Mine's more of like, I don't have much motivation today. A lot of people don't think that's normal. It's very normal. I mean, we're all humans. Nobody's motivated every day. It's just not possible. So you really have to push yourself. And I think measuring your goals, for me, I need to be more organized, punctual, and measure my goals in micro rather than macro. I got to get these 5 things done today. Okay, what in those 5 things can I break down to do today? And then we're not doing them all in one day. So that's how I treat it. But the traveling is the number one thing that combats in the sun. That's why I sit outside every single day when I can.
For you, Braden, you're fairly young anyway, but what advice would you give your younger self? I think you're kind of doing what you want to be doing, but any advice out there?
I mean, I don't regret. I actually loved growing up. Everything about my childhood was fantastic. Growing up with my friends and having fun. I think I made the right decisions along the way. I wouldn't say I have any regrets at this point. I mean, there's things that I wish I'd done differently, but I don't call them regrets. They're just learning lessons for me. So my advice to my 16 to 18-year-old self is I wish I bought Bitcoin when I was in grade 10 at the time. But realistically, I wish I would have looked at how powerful social media was in those early stages of Instagram. I signed up in 2011. So I was doing the follow and follow. And for myself, where I'm at today, I always wanted to have by like 25, I wanted to make sure I hit certain goals that are personal to me. But I just think for myself at like 16 to 18, just travel more and don't tie yourself in with the same crowd of people all the time. I wish I had, branched out. I got 16-year-olds that are learning from me right now. They're not even old enough to rent a property. And they come to me, I want to learn Airbnb. Like the whole world is transforming from not just an information era, But we're in a sharing economy now between Uber and Amazon and Facebook, and just people want to, they don't really, I wouldn't say they don't want to buy, but they don't want to be as stationed anymore. So for me, it's just about educating myself and becoming more of an autodidact, a self-taught learner, rather than listening to other people tell me what they've done. I want to take my own initiative to learn. So I wish I changed that a little more. I was listening to people I just simply wouldn't have traded places with at that time.
Awesome, man. Hey, so you're an entrepreneur. You seem like a teacher or a mentor. How can people reach out? How can they follow you? What's the best way?
So the best way is Mr. Airbnb. Very simple.
Oh,
no
nice.
periods, no underscores. So Mr. and then Airbnb on Instagram. They send me a DM. I'm happy to respond. I always respond to everybody myself. There's nobody behind my Instagram other than me, and everything is very personal. And that's really what's helped me over the years too, is just being real with people, being transparent, not having any sort of team or bot automate to them. They want to talk to you. And so that's the point of social media. And that's my best medium, I would say, to reach out to me. I offer an Airbnb coaching program, which you had actually taken, and I'm in the midst of releasing an upgraded version to that called B&B PhD, which you also get access to. And so that'll just be an 8-week course that'll go with 6 videos a week, everything from A to Z. And it includes the new marketing and management method I just talked about, and how you can actually bootstrap this whole business with just an iPhone, literally just your iPhone and a laptop if you have it. And you can get clients. And I'll show you how to get those clients using LinkedIn, which is important, and mass email automation. So it's very cool. And Mr. Airbnb is the best way to get a hold of me.
Well, Braden, it's been really fun, Mr. Airbnb. I do appreciate you coming on the show, and I look forward to continuing following. I wish you all success.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Well, that was a fun chat with Braden Ross, Mr. Airbnb. I've been having a little bit of fun with a few properties myself and making them in short-term rentals with my family. And it's been kind of an interesting journey. We've been kind of at it, I would guess, probably at least 3 years and maybe up to 5. And that culture is changing, certainly with COVID-19 and with the popularity and increase of users using short-term rentals. It's an interesting, maybe fun, sometimes frustrating, but I would say profitable exercise. Well, folks, if you know somebody who has questions on the Calgary real estate market, needs to sell a house, buy a house, or just advice on moving or resources, anything real estate related, we're in the know. We keep in touch. Please reach out to me. You can find me by just Googling Bryon Howard here in Calgary. And other than that, who should we have next on the show? Let me know if you're interested or you know somebody. Thanks very much.
And I will